Good afternoon. Welcome to SUS News. I'm Marcela Homer.
And I'm Sofia Messinesian. Here are today's headlines. Former U.S. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has announced that he will testify on Russia's meddling in the U.S. elections if he is granted immunity.
The EU has begun negotiations with Britain on a separation arrangement. Trade deal talks will then begin to look at the UK post-Brexit.
And the NHS can no longer guarantee treatment within 18 weeks for over 100,000 patients.
Brighton I-360 has been forced to close for the third time on Saturday. Hundreds of passengers were left stuck inside the pods. This is due to local businesses facing extra pressure with overrunning construction works. And construction work which surrounds the attraction is set to last a few weeks longer. Our reporter Ben Walker has more on this story.
Brighton's I-360 has become a new key feature to the iconic seafront. However, the tower has been forced to close for a fifth time in 8 months due to yet another temporary fault, and the surrounding construction work is set to overrun, forcing additional pressures on local businesses. Around 200 passengers were stuck inside an I-360 pod on Saturday afternoon, and the tower was reopened on Wednesday after an unspecified fault was resolved. Surrounding construction work around the ride to replace bricks to match the I-360 has also been confirmed to now overrun into the Easter holidays, costing these local businesses thousands of pounds in lost customers. The original date of completion was April 3rd, however the date has now been pushed back to April 13th. The council blamed this delay on bad weather conditions and stated that the delay is an inevitable hazard of working on a seafront at this time of year. We asked local opinion on the I-360 and how the ride has affected them.
We think it's fantastic. We think that everything they're doing on the seafront here is just brilliant. It's going to open it up for everybody.
I was here when they were still erecting it, and I thought then, not a good idea. And now that it's all done, I believe, I'm thinking, what a waste of money.
It's clear that the tower has sparked a number of mixed opinions, and it must be questioned that once construction works have been completed, will the end result have still been worth it? Ben Walker, SUS News, Brighton.
Michael Flynn, retired Army Lieutenant General and previous National Security Advisor to President Trump, has released a statement through his lawyer stating that he is willing to testify on alleged connections between Russia and the Trump campaign in exchange for immunity. Flynn was let go from his post in February for misleading the White House about talks he held with Russian envoy Sergei Kislyak. Robert Kellner, the lawyer representing Flynn, says his client has a story to tell. Flynn's links to Russia ties into a larger investigation being carried out by the FBI. They are looking into claims that Moscow meddled and helped Donald Trump with the U.S. presidential election. Flynn's connections to Russia have been exposed and are deemed questionable. In 2015, Flynn was paid $68,000 in fees and expenses by companies linked to Russia, such as television network Russia Today. 2 months before Donald Trump got the presidency, Michael Flynn went on to NBC Meet the Press to discuss the partial immunity granted to one of Hillary Clinton's aides and stated,
"When you are given immunity, that means that you've probably committed a crime."
Residents of Peacehaven spoke out about their concerns on the plans to build new homes. Simon Kirby, the MP for Kemptown, said it could have a possible impact on local infrastructures. Our correspondent Harry Allen has more on the story.
Plans for 450 new properties to be built in Peacehaven have recently been put in place by Barratt Homes. 40% of these properties are allegedly going to be affordable homes, but Peacehaven residents have still voiced their concerns over these new developments. People living there currently have said they are worried that the area will become overcrowded, with thousands of new people living there if the developments go ahead. Even MP for Kemptown, Simon Kirby, has stated that he recognises the need for affordable housing, but is also concerned about the developments. The new properties are an effort to decrease the national price of homes, which have dropped this March for the first time in over 2 years. This has been Harry Allen reporting for SUS News.
Trade deal talks for Brexit will begin soon, setting the tone for the 2 years of negotiations. The EU Council President Donald Tusk has argued for a phased approach to Brexit talks. Brexit was formally triggered this Wednesday. The UK has called for talks of the exit terms and the future of trade ties to be negotiated at the same time, but President Tusk has made it clear that that will not be the case. Draft guidelines will be sent to 27 nations and will await approval to terms such as the UK's financial bills with the EU, which is estimated to be £51 million.
The NHS has announced that they are relaxing the requirements to treat non-urgent operations within 18 weeks. This means patients will have to wait longer for treatment. We have our reporter Emily Stoner live. So Emily, why have these changes occurred?
Well, Simon Stevens is talking about these changes in regard to a 5-year strategy that he launched in 2014. And in the most recent progress report, he has said that the demand was rising at a quicker rate than expected, and so compromises had to be made.
What are these compromises?
Well, Mr. Stevens is expecting that the wait for non-emergency procedures that are going to be longer than 18 weeks, saying that this could become even worse within the next few years. However, he also hopes to refer less people to hospitals, which over time will act to combat this wait list. Earlier today, I investigated these changes made by the NHS. In England, patients on the NHS are facing longer waits for hospital operations in a trade-off for improved care in other areas, Simon Stevens says. The NHS boss says that he can no longer guarantee treatment in the 18-week timeframe, which is currently set out as the national standard. Non-emergency treatments that will be affected include everything from minor surgery to hip and knee replacements, in hope that there will be quicker cancer diagnosis and A&E care. 360 patients are currently waiting longer than the 18 weeks set out. In an attempt to reduce the amount of people waiting, Mr. Stevens is asking GPs to refer less patients to hospitals if there are other options available, such as physio. I'm Emily Stoner, and this was SUS News.
Hundreds of university lecturers are currently in strike in front of multiple Brighton University buildings. Members are in a dispute over redundancies and the downgrading of staff. They will also begin a work-to-contract rule in hopes to end unpaid evening and weekend work. The campaign is set to continue in the first week of summer term with a 2-day strike and is expected to develop for the remainder of the academic year.
A spring market is going to be hosted for the first time at the level. The market will host locally made produce and collections, which will be open to the public all day on Sunday. The turnout is expected to be large. Frankie Goud has the story.
A new monthly market will launch this weekend at the Level in Brighton. The Market Stall Company is hosting the first Level Spring Market on Sunday from 9 AM until 5 PM. The Level is the crossroads for many communities that make up the most densely populated areas of Brighton and Hove. There are 50,000 households within the 15-minute walk of the park, giving traders the best opportunity to sell their wares to larger crowds. Organisers are hoping the event will boost popularity not only to the Brighton Park, but as well as businesses in the open market. The main ambition of this new event is to promote makers, traders and organisations from across Brighton and Hove. The market will be located on the east side of the park and will promote market traders and the community from across Brighton and Hove in what is considered to be one of the most vibrant public spaces. We spoke to a local resident to hear his thoughts on the upcoming event.
I think it's a fab idea because it gives the small businesses like a chance to, get some attention. I think it's a really nice thing to do for the community as well because it gets everyone out. It uses the massive space that the Level is.
Visitors to the market can purchase locally made food and drink, arts and crafts, jewellery, vintage wares and clothing. There will be a number of hot food vendors, while young children will be entertained with a selection of fairground rides and will-o-wisp creative workshops. The weather for this weekend has been forecasted as sunny, with highs of up to 12 degrees, with a low chance of rain, so it is expected to be a popular event.
The NHS can no longer guarantee treatment within 18 weeks for over 100,000 patients.
The EU has begun negotiations with Britain on a separation arrangement. Trade deal talks will then begin to look at the UK post-Brexit.
That's all your news for now. I'm Sofia Messinesi.
And I'm Rosella Homer.